G'day and welcome to the English in the NRL Round 10 review. And there's no better place to start than Canberra, the Battle of Britain. A record 6 Englishmen took part in an NRL game. And if John Bateman had been fit, it would have been 7. And if George Williams comes next year, which it looks like, to the Raiders, it will be 8. Although there is a lot of talk that the Burgess brothers will split up. George, there's rumours he may be going back to the Super League. He may be going to the Brisbane Broncos. We'll just have to wait and see. Parramatta did try and snare him pre-season, so George isn't denying that there's a potential move, so we'll just have to wait and see. As for the game itself, the Battle of Britain was a war of attrition. It was 16-12 to the Bunnies. There was only 3 tries in the game, a scoreless first half. It was a real war out there. And right amongst it was, as usual, Slammin' Sam, the Rabbitohs talisman, and he had a running battle with the referees all game, especially the first half. He was riling up the Raiders crowd. Massive crowd of about 18,000, a lot of Bunny supporters who went home happy, of course. And Sam had a really good game. It was sort of suited him. It was just rough and tumble. It was finals football come early. Josh Hodgson tried his hardest for the Raiders. He got his head split open at one point, trying to pull off a big hit. He got smashed. And Elliot Whitehead set up the Raiders' only try, bursting through off a short ball, and then set up Sam Williams, who showed some surprising pace to get over the line. For the rest of the Raiders, Ryan Sutton tried really hard. He was solid in the middle. There was barely any missed tackles. It was really tough stuff. And Tom and George also as well. It's very hard to gain big meterage in this type of game. It was slippery conditions. It was a cold night. But, the Bunnies got the chocolates with a bit of Cody Walker magic. So, 6 Englishmen, and they all, played very, very strongly. Let's move on. Ryan Hall for the Roosters made his long-awaited comeback from his ACL injury and his club debut, and it was a really tough one for Ryan. He was thrown into the cauldron of Suncorp, and it was the Broncos were on. They treated this game like a grand final. They're down the table. They had to make a stand, and they did. They belted the Sydney Roosters, who are no longer top of the table. That belongs to South Sydney now. And Ryan Hall had a mixed night. I mean, it's a lot to expect a guy who's been out for so long. He must have been at it probably 8 months. He was a bit dodgy under a couple of high balls, but he fronted up, did his hit-ups, tackled strongly, but was a little bit ropey under the high ball. Anthony Milford was doing those spiralling torpedoes that I'm glad I wouldn't be under. I'd be bugger all chance of catching those. So Ryan will work on a few things during the week. Whether he plays this week will be interesting, because I would assume Daniel Tupou will be back, and whether he's ready to replace Matt Ikavulu. To be honest, Ryan looked a little bit short of a gallop, because at his best, he's a definite starter for the Roosters. He may be given a game in reserve grade just to find a bit of confidence, but he played, he ran strongly. Yeah, it's just his judgment under the high ball was a bit off. The other Englishman, Chris McQueen, had a fantastic game for the Tigers. They were so unlucky to lose to the Melbourne Storm 24-22. They lost in the last couple of minutes. They were the better team. They should have won, and McQueen played very, very strongly. He's consolidated his spot in the Tigers' second row, and he's there for a while. He's really playing good football. Whether he's on Wayne Bennett's English radar, I don't know. That may have passed him by, but he's playing really good footy for Michael Maguire and the Tigers. And James Graham, well, I won't talk about him for too long. They went out to Mudgee and were absolutely carved up by the Newcastle Knights, 45-12. It was an appalling performance from St George. Mary McGregor has hinted he'll swing the axe this week. They've got the derby against the Sharks. And look, I doubt James will be one of the ones who'll go, because he's one of the few experienced players in that side, but really something's got to give. The Dragons were terrible. So James, little impact there. Kalen Ponga and Mitchell Pearce just ripped them apart. So that's it for the English in the NRL this week. It was a great atmosphere out at the Rabbitohs game. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it was so good to see all the Englishmen up close. And there was a really nice moment after the game where Sam Burgess and Josh Hodgson were having a chat, and then had a nice hug, which was lovely to see. You can tell there's great spirit among the Englishmen, and they give their all each week, and they're all top quality, really performing well. So anyway, that's it for the English in the NRL. I'll be back in a couple of days with the Round 11 preview.